continue on with our Western Slope High School football showdown. The 2000 Fruita Monument Wildcats, 4A state runner-ups that year, losing to Loveland in the title game against the 2003 3A state champion Palisade Bulldogs. Cast your vote, text it to us, call us. Chick-fil-A Breakfast Team phone line, same number for both, 970-242-1340. Go to Facebook, click on the profile picture, vote there, and you can go to our Twitter feed to vote.
Yes, at the Team 1340, where both T's are capitalized. Palisade currently with all the votes on Twitter right now.
All right. So joining us, a member of the 2000 Fruita Monument Wildcats state runner-up, played receiver, defensive back, went on to play football at Colorado State. He is now the secondary coach at the Colorado School of Mines. Miles Kochever joins us. Miles, how are you?
Doing well, Jim. How are you doing today?
Doing great. It was great to catch up with you the other day. Glad things are going well for you and your family over in Golden, School of Mines. It seems like that's been a really nice fit for you to go there and coach on Greg Brandon's staff.
I appreciate that, Jim. Yeah, no, we've been very blessed. We stepped into a great situation at Colorado School of Mines, being able to jump on board with Coach Brandon and, the success that he's been able to build. And he's got a great program going right now. We've got a great culture. We got a lot of guys that do things right both on and off the field. So it's been fun to be a part of that, even though, it's been short-lived with everything going on right now. Haven't been able to be around the guys as much as we would like to. But, it's really something special that we got going on in Golden.
All right, let's go back to 2000. That was such a great season for the Wildcats. The first round win against Brighton, 28-0. The win against Mitchell, 21-7. Semifinal win, 28-20 over Broomfield. And then you got Loveland over at their place in the state title game. The field looked like a cow pasture. Remember that day over there at Thompson Valley?
Awful surface.
Terrible football field. 17-12 win for Loveland over your Wildcats. When you think back to that game, is the play to Rosenberg the thing you always think about first, or what do you think about first when you think about that state title game?
Oh man, when you called the other day, it kind of stirred up a lot of mixed emotions from that game because it still hurts and pisses you off a little bit in your gut that we weren't able to get the job done. But to me, that play to Rosenberg, that's not the one that stands out. There's a couple things leading up to that, and early in the game, they had the little running back. I think, and he ran and he kind of was in a big muddle and he popped out and he kind of just disappeared for a second. He was able to break free and score on 60-yard run, I believe it was, or something like that. Those things kind of leading up to that were the ones that I remember, things that we could have done or could have stopped. It was kind of uncharacteristic for us to give up those big plays defensively. And then, they did a good job and stymied us a little bit on the offensive side of the ball. So we were just waiting for that opportunity for a big play to happen. Shoot, I think there was another one where we ran a trick play, and we were unable to convert on something that we were very successful, over the past 4 years. Being able to come up with that big play when we needed to, and we weren't able to get it done.
Miles Kochever, member of the 2000 Fruita Monument Wildcats, 4A state runner-up, joining us today. You can vote for Fruita Monument or 2003 Palisade. You can text or call in your vote, 970-242-1340. We'll go to that Rosenberg play. Jeff Rosenberg in the end zone. If I remember right, it was the left back corner of the end zone. It was where we were in the press box, so as they're calling that game. And it certainly looked like Jeff caught the pass from Ryan Jobe, had it in two hands, foot came down, made contact. Should have been enough for a reception and a touchdown that you would have won the game for you guys. But I remember, was it Adam Weber, the safety, came up and swatted the ball out of his hands. They ruled that he didn't hold the ball long enough. Do you feel like to this day that he held the ball long enough and that would have been the game-winning touchdown?
Well, Jeff is still one of my best friends. So I'll say this, and no, because, there's no excuse for the ball being on the ground. Jeff would tell you the same thing. I know it kills him to this day that he didn't hang on to that thing and secure it all the way. And the great athlete that Jeff is, and, being a catcher on the baseball team, it was unexcusable for that ball to hit the ground. I believe he would tell you the same thing. So, you don't want to put that in the referee's hands. It's something that we had to finish. We weren't able to get the job done. But, I would take that team over anybody. It's kind of funny when you look at it, and maybe and that's kind of what irks you the most. I still feel to this day that, the best team didn't win that game. They had some good players. They had some great players. Maybe player for player, they're a little bit better than us. But you look at that 2000 Fruita team, and, a lot of special things happened that year and happened throughout that course to get to that point in our senior year. It was a bunch of live dogs and mixed blessings kind of coming up, and the coaches that we had. And to get to that point, it was a shame for us to lose that way. But I believe that he should have held on to the ball.
Miles Kochever, former Fruita Monument Wildcat, member of the 2000 Fruita State runner-up team, joining us in the program today. Part of the narrative before that game was your matchup with Jeremy Bloom. Bloom, of course, went on to play at Colorado. You got to see him when he played in the Rocky Mountain Showdown when it was Rams and Buffaloes. How excited were you to have that kind of matchup with a player like him that was getting a lot of accolades and a lot of attention?
You know what? I don't even know if that really registered at the time, Jim. I mean, from outside, and if it hadn't been for you guys and the coverage that you guys were able to bring to us, I don't even know how recognizable we would have been. So, at that time, the social media wasn't big, so you didn't really know what's going on a whole lot on the other side. And we were just so focused on what we were doing in the process and getting there to the state championship. We got beat up pretty bad the year before in the semifinals against Green Mountain. So about putting in the work to get back to where we, thought that we should have been the year before, and continue to build on it. So it was more about us as a team getting there. But then, you look back on it, and Jeremy and I had some great battles, and it's kind of fun. He goes to CU, I go to CSU. We play again in the Rocky Mountain Showdown, and then his father's actually a professor at CSU. So it's pretty crazy in a small world, though.
Miles Kochever joining us today on the Jim Davis Show on the team. And talk to me a little bit about maybe some guys that didn't get enough attention. We've talked about, of course, the role that you played in the team, Jeff Rosenberg, obviously Ryan Jobe. I mean, that was a very talented football team, great offensive line. But is there a guy or two that you feel like was instrumental in your success that maybe doesn't get the attention that they deserved?
Well, and you look at that roster and then the guys that contributed, that's why I say maybe if you looked at it athlete for athlete, and on paper they might have been a better personnel team. You look at a guy like Jerry Otero, 5'7", 200. Who knows how much he weighed at that time? Maybe 220 pounds. Played nose guard all the way across that board, and then you had some of the young guys that contributed. Your Jason Landini, Chris Nash on the offensive line. And then, the leadership that they had, with Wasey playing center, Wasey Clark, and then Bob Sorensen, was a great football player. The majority of that team played both ways. So that's just kind of what we became accustomed to, and grew to love. You grew to win each week, and then, Coach Moore and Coach Arledge and the staff that we had did a great job of getting us prepared week in and week out.
You mentioned Coach Moore. We had Billy on, and Billy doesn't agree with you, by the way, on the Rosenberg catch. He thought it was a touchdown, but that's okay. You guys can debate that over a cold one the next time you're on this side of the hill. But but you talk about Coach Moore a little bit, and John Arledge, of course, went on to coach at Palisade. John has always been one of the
wordsmith.
He's one of the more colorful, maybe the most colorful coach we've ever had on this program.
Yes.
And is there a story you can tell us about about Coach Moore or Coach Arledge? Keep in mind, Miles,
it's got to be clean.
It's got to be clean.
Cleaned up a little bit.
That when you think back to that 2000 season, you always think about something they said, something they did that made you laugh, or something that's always kind of stayed with you from that 2000 season.
Oh, man. It was just kind of the way that those two kind of set together and played off of each other. I thought they were a great fit. Coach Moore did a good job of, he knew how to push buttons, and he liked to do it. Coach Arledge did it in different ways. So I thought that those two kind of offset. One thing that kind of, when you say that one story that pops off would probably, when Coach Arledge grabbed the camera against Mitchell and he was headbutting the camera guy. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah, I do. Now that you mention, I do remember that the headbutt of the camera guy. I do remember that now.
But those two together, there were some colorful arguments. We'll just kind of leave it at that between the two of them and some of his leaders on the team. But found a way to get us to come together and kind of relish in the moment. You know, and you look back and you say the field conditions and having to play at Loveland. I still don't understand that. I started thinking about that this morning a little bit. How come we had to go to Loveland? It was back when it was a coin flip, correct?
Right.
So, you know, and it's tough to beat somebody twice. You kind of look at all those things that went into that game, where it was. We'd already played them earlier in the season, had a close game there in Grand Junction. We were able to beat them. It's hard to beat somebody twice, and it's not an excuse. You know, I'd love to go back to that day and find a way to get it done. But that's just kind of how the chips fell. So.
Hey, Miles, it's been great catching up with you. Best of luck with Mines, except when you guys play Mesa. Okay, sorry, I have to put that out there. But I wish you nothing but the best of luck with the Mines program the rest of the way. Always great catching up with you. Thanks again. The very best to your family, and thanks again for coming on today.
Hey, appreciate it, fellas. You guys have a good one.
You too. Take care. Miles Kochever. Man, he was a really good football